The night was calm as too calm. The sea outside the Belgian port of Zeebrugge glimmered like glass under the cold March sky. Inside the Herald of Free Enterprise, families laughed, truck drivers stretched their legs, and the crew prepared for another routine crossing to Dover. Nothing seemed unusual. But below deck, one open door waited, silent, unseen, and deadly. At 6:05 p.m., just minutes after departure, the ship began to tilt. Within 90 seconds, the Pride of Townsend Thorson was lying on its side, half submerged, passengers trapped in darkness and icy water. Panic replaced laughter. Hope drowned with the tide. One open door, 193 souls lost. Not a bomb, not a storm, just one forgotten door. The Herald of Free Enterprise wasn't a new ship. Built in 1980, she was one of the fastest roll-on, roll-off ferries connecting Dover, Zeebrugge, and Calais, a symbol of modern efficiency and European trade. Designed to carry cars, trucks, and hundreds of passengers, her job was simple: load fast, sail fast, arrive on time. But on the evening of March 6, 1987, that promise of speed became her curse. The vessel left Zeebrugge with her bow doors still wide open. A mistake so simple, so absurd, it almost felt impossible. Yet in less than 2 minutes, seawater flooded the lower decks with the force of a tsunami. By the time rescuers arrived, the ship was lying on her side in the freezing water, just yards from the harbor. Families, workers, and crew members were trapped inside, victims of a system that valued schedules over safety. The calm before the chaos March 6th began like any other working Friday at Zeebrugge. The port buzzed with noise, engines idling, radios crackling, the metallic echo of trucks rolling onto the ferry's lower deck. For the crew of the Herald of Free Enterprise, it was routine. The ship had made this journey countless times before. On board were families heading home, tourists eager to see England, and truck drivers finishing long weeks on the road. In the lounges, people laughed over sandwiches and coffee. The hum of engines beneath the floor was comforting, a familiar sound that meant safety, progress, normality, but hidden within that normality was a fatal chain of negligence. The assistant boatswain, responsible for closing the bow doors, was asleep in his cabin. The first officer, assuming the doors were shut, gave no confirmation. And on the bridge, Captain David Lurie received the all-clear signal, unaware that below, the ship was open to the sea. As the engines roared to life and the Herald of Free Enterprise began to move, no alarm sounded. No one saw the water waiting just beyond that open door. The moment of disaster at exactly 6:05 p.m., the Herald of Free Enterprise cleared the harbor wall and entered open water. The bow door, still gaping wide, allowed the sea to rush in like a beast unchained.
Seal the bulkheads!
Within seconds, hundreds of tons of icy water flooded the lower car deck, smashing through vehicles and washing passengers off their feet. The ship's design, meant for speed and easy loading, now turned against her. There was no watertight barrier to stop the incoming tide. The water raced upward, lifting trucks, tearing open walls, and slamming against bulkheads with terrifying force. On the bridge, the captain felt the ferry lurch violently to port. Coffee cups crashed to the floor, alarms blared, and chaos erupted. Within 90 seconds, the ship had rolled 90 degrees onto her side. Lights went out. Darkness swallowed the cabins. In that blackness, passengers screamed for loved ones they could no longer reach. Some tried to break windows. Others clung to ceilings that had become walls. Freezing seawater poured through corridors as the ship settled half-submerged in the shallow waters, just a mile from the port. Outside, fishermen and nearby vessels raced toward the overturned hull. Survivors clung to debris, shivering, praying. For many, there was no time to react. The cold, the confusion, and the speed of the sinking sealed their fate. The investigation in the days that followed, the wreck of the Herald of Free Enterprise became a floating tomb. Divers and rescue teams worked around the clock, cutting through twisted metal and searching air pockets for signs of life. But hope faded quickly. 193 people were confirmed dead. Most had drowned within minutes, trapped inside what investigators would later call a ship of complacency. The public demanded answers. How could a modern ferry sail with its bow doors open? The official inquiry, led by Mr. Justice Sheen, uncovered a chilling truth. The disaster was not caused by one man, but by a culture. A system built on haste, poor communication, and the dangerous belief that safety checks were someone else's job. The assistant boatswain, Mark Stanley, had indeed fallen asleep. But investigators found the real blame went higher, to the company, Townsend Thorson, whose management ignored repeated warnings about safety procedures. Captain Lurie was criticized, but the report called the company's attitude a disease of sloppiness. It wasn't a single failure, it was a chain of them, stretching from the deckhands to the boardroom. Lessons ignored long before March 6, 1987, the danger had been known. Several captains had complained that the Herald of Free Enterprise and her sister ships were vulnerable if the bow doors were left open. They requested simple safety measures, lights on the bridge to confirm door closure, alarms to warn of human error. The company promised reviews, then did nothing. The Sheen report revealed that similar near misses had occurred before, but each time, luck had intervened. The culture of get it done quickly overrode every caution. Profit and punctuality mattered more than prevention. Even after the tragedy, when new safety regulations were proposed, some in the industry resisted, claiming the cost was too high. It was a haunting reflection of why the Herald had sunk in the first place, the belief that disaster only happens to others. Legacy and memory in the years that followed, the Herald of Free Enterprise became more than just a wreck. It became a warning carved into maritime history. Her upturned hull was eventually righted and towed away for scrap. But the memory of that night never faded from the minds of survivors or rescuers. Every March, memorial services are held in Dover and Zeebrugge. Families gather to read the names of the 193 who never came home. Bells toil, flowers float on the sea, and each year people ask the same question: how could something so simple have gone so wrong? The disaster reshaped international safety laws, leading to stricter checks, alarms, and training. Ships were redesigned, companies held accountable, and new maritime doctrines were written in salt and sorrow. Final reflection in the end: the Herald of Free Enterprise was not destroyed by the sea. It was destroyed by the people who forgot to respect it. A single open door exposed more than a ship's weakness. It revealed the fragility of human responsibility. The waves that swallowed the Herald still whisper the same truth to every harbor and every captain. Safety is never an inconvenience, and tragedy is never far from negligence. Because sometimes history doesn't sink in storms or wars, and it sinks quietly through one open door.